All right, so today I want to talk about predators when you're bushcrafting. So normally when you're bushcrafting, you're out in a kind of a natural environment, and depending on what kind of environment you are in, depending on where you're at, you may or may not have formidable predators in your area. I'm actually up here in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. I can see some wildlife looking around. I can see some squirrels and stuff. But what I'm really looking out for are the predators. And we have some pretty challenging predators, I'd say, here in Colorado. And kind of the interesting thing is I've actually noticed a lot of people when they go out hiking or they're bushcrafting or camping, you kind of go through, I would say, phases of awareness of your predators. So if you go on like some of the major hiking trails and you go off the trail just a little bit, you can actually kind of, sit back in the forest and kind of watch people as they're going up and down the trail. And I'd say probably 90% of the people that are walking on that trail, they're clueless when it comes to their surroundings and the predators. And I'd say that's kind of a dangerous approach, because predators can kind of sneak up on you when you least expect it. And then I'd say after you're kind of in the woods for a while, and you start doing a little bit of research on predators, you kind of go from being totally ignorant of predators to almost switching to being terrified of predators in your environment. So I've actually seen some people where they'll come out and, they hear stories about, I've known people jump by mountain lions up here in Colorado, and luckily they were able to defend themselves. And in that one case, the guy that I knew that got jumped by a mountain lion, he had a firearm. And luckily the mountain lion jumped on his pack, and he said at one point he was flat on his back on the ground with the mountain lion on top of him, and he was able to get his firearm and shoot and kill that mountain lion. So you have to really be careful of the mountain lions will stalk you even in the daytime. But one good way to get a feel for what's in your area as far as the predators is to talk to some people, especially like in the fire department, that walk a lot of the woods. And I've talked to some of the people that are firemen that do a lot of walking through the woods, and they'll say the number one problem they have, it's not the mountain lions. Believe it or not, it's actually packs of wild dogs. And essentially what will happen is your dog will run away, and it'll get lost in the woods, and what will happen is it'll join up with other dogs in the woods, and pretty soon you have these packs of what used to be domestic animals running together. And in order to survive, what they do is they attack and kill other animals. So they get to the point where they're used to hunting and killing out here. And the hard part of that is they're not really afraid of people like a lot of your bears. A lot of times I've actually seen bears right by the house. We have a bear that comes up and tries to get in the dumpster. And every time I go out, he's afraid of people, and he'll take off and run. Versus these packs of wild dogs, they're not afraid of people. So it really depends on where you're at, what animals you have, as far as what strategy you take to protect yourself from wild animals. And when you're talking bushcraft, I'd say most people, when they're doing bushcraft, I've seen a lot of them on YouTube, they'll go out by themselves. So right now, out by myself, I'd say I'd have a higher probability of something just looking at one lone individual in the woods, approaching me and trying to eat me, essentially what it is. So everything tries to eat everything else in the woods. So you have to really be careful. The other thing you want to realize about predators, especially up here in Colorado, is that most of them will come out at night. So, I have kind of a mini farm, I'd say, up here in the mountains. And I have chickens and ducks and cows. And every time I have a problem with predators, it's always at night. Most of the bears and the mountain lions, I'd say for the most part, they sleep during the day. And they'll come out at night. So this is a part of the woods. So I'm kind of exploring the local woods over here in my local mountain over here by my house. I've never actually been over here, so this is pretty interesting. It's getting pretty dense as far as the vegetation. Look at that. So that's the other thing. If you get into like a lot of the thick stuff in here, a lot of times that's like ambush territory for mountain lions, where they can kind of hide and jump you a lot easier than like being out in an open area. So one of the main things that I've kind of developed over quite a long time, I've been out here for about 20 years. I spend probably maybe 4 hours a day in the mountains every single day, 7 days a week. So I have a lot of outdoor time up here in the mountains. And what you can actually do most of the time is you can listen for predators. It's easier to listen for them than to actually look for them. So every now and then I will look up and I'll look around, but I'm always keyed into the sound. And what I'm actually looking to hear from a predator is a branch breaking or a twig on the ground. So if I hear something breaking a twig, usually like your squirrels and so, you know, the smaller stuff really can't break branches. But if you hear a branch break, it's usually something a little bit bigger. So that's one of the things I kind of listen for. Normally I carry a stick, like a walking stick. So if you think of something coming up to you like a pack of dogs or something, and they come right up and they're barking at you. I've actually had that happen once, where a bunch of dogs came up and they, you know, approached me and they were aggressive. A lot of times you want a stick, because instead of, you know, the dogs being right next to your leg, you can kind of put the stick out and kind of keep it, you know, a distance between. It kind of extends the distance between you and the predator. So normally I carry a walking stick, and for these videos I've been carrying a selfie stick. I guess I could use a selfie stick for self-defense, but I'd say that's your main line of defense. Some people, as far as defending themselves against predators, what they'll actually do is they'll carry bear spray for bears. But I found bear spray, I've actually watched videos of people trying to spray bear spray in high winds. If you have high winds, it doesn't really work. If you had a day like this, which is pretty unusual, like no wind, it's a really hot day too. It's unusually warm. Up here at 9,000 feet, it never usually gets above 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So I think it's above that, maybe closer to 80 out here today, which is pretty unusual. But yeah, bear spray, I would say most people would recommend bear spray. I usually don't carry bear spray. Another thing I've actually seen people carry, which I think is probably the most effective as far as coming out here, they actually make it's like a really long flashlight, but instead of a flashlight, it actually has like a stun gun on the end. And those things, those stun guns, they make a lot of noise and they shoot the sparks across the little electrodes and just you know zapping in the air. That the noise and the sound, I think that would deter a lot of predators. Then if something got up on top of you or really close, you could just, you know, really shock them. That would probably be the most effective thing, I would think. As a matter of fact, for one Christmas, I was handing those out to everybody, giving people it's like a stun baton. Probably I would highly recommend one of those. Sometimes I'll carry that, but most of the times I don't. Some people will carry a firearm. So firearm is It depends if you're comfortable with firearms and if the people you're walking with, if you're walking with a group, if they're comfortable with you having a firearm. So personally, me being ex-military, I'm very comfortable carrying a firearm. I used to carry one heavy pistol on one side of my belt, and I found that it really weighed me down on one side. And after walking with that firearm for, you know, months and months, I got tired of being weighted down on one side, and I kind of felt like I was having back problems a little bit from carrying a heavy firearm for so long. I actually recently switched to two smaller firearms on either side of my belt in like an outside the waistband holder, an open carry kind of a setup. And that is fantastic. I can't even, it like balances itself out, and they're really super light, and most of the times I don't even know I'm actually carrying it. So, and they hold more rounds too. So of course it's not a really heavy round. And then if you're actually using a firearm, you have to kind of know if you want to shoot as a warning shot or shoot the animal. So if you're thinking about using a gun for a bear, I'd say whatever you do not shoot the bear unless the bear is chewing on your leg and you have no other alternative. You can actually go on YouTube and look up bear hunting videos. Those are absolutely terrifying. So if a bear comes up to you, what I would recommend is kind of shoot off to the angle, off to the side. If you have to shoot, a lot of them will fake charge you. So that's one thing. But if you shoot a bear, every single time they will charge you. And then the funny thing is, I've actually seen people where they're actually bear hunting. They'll shoot a bear, and then if another bear sees you shoot another bear, it will actually charge you. So you could have multiple bears charging at you just from shooting one bear. Oh, yeah, you do not want to shoot a bear. I would recommend maybe a warning shot if it got really super close and you couldn't scare that bear away. The other thing with bears, I've actually seen some people where what they'll do is they'll see a bear and they'll be like, "Go away, bear, go away, go away." And they'll say something like that, and the bear will start wandering, you know, kind of turning away. But every time they say, "Go away," the bear will be attracted to that sound. So whatever you do, don't start saying that to a bear, because I think it gives the bear the idea that you're injured and that you're an easy target. So I know some people like carry like bear bells to kind of tell the bears that you're there. But if the bear knows you're there and they're kind of walking in the distance, I would quietly walk away. I would not approach that bear. And if the bear is following you, sometimes you can just quietly, you know, kind of give the impression that you're going towards the bear, maybe a step or two. Sometimes that'll give them a little bit of intimidation to walk away. So bears are kind of tricky. If you're camping at night with bears, I've seen some people that are just crazy bushcrafting. They'll zip themselves up in a sleeping bag and then they'll like sleep out in the open right after they've been cooking bacon or something like that. I'm like, man, you guys it's like a bear burrito out there in the open. What I'll do, if you're camping at night, if I had more than one person, what I would actually prefer to do is I would have the fire going really strong all night long, and I'd switch off feeding the fire. So I'd have like one person feed the fire halfway through the night while one person gets some sleep, and then switch off to another person feeding the fire and another person's getting some sleep. But I wouldn't all sleep at the same time. And if you're by yourself, you might be better off sleeping in the middle of the day versus sleeping at night. I've actually done that before. There's far less predators in the day. Most of the predators are actually sleeping. So yeah, you definitely have to be aware of that, especially after losing so many animals. They'll jump in with the chickens and they'll just, You know, the bears will eat every single chicken, the whole chicken. I'll go out there, there's nothing but piles of feathers from the bear. Now the mountain lions, they're completely different. So mountain lions, when they kill your chickens, they'll actually just kill them all. You go out and there'll just be all these dead chickens, and they're planning on coming back later and eating those chickens. So you'll know one versus the other just by the way they kill your livestock. And the mountain lions, I've been stalked by mountain lions. A lot of times you want to look behind you. Most of the times, I'd say 99% of the time, you'll never see a mountain lion unless it's actually on top of you. I've seen some videos that say the only way to shoot a mountain lion is to have the gun in your hand when they jump on you. So yeah, it's a little bit terrifying. They'll stalk you in the daytime. Sometimes with mountain lions, you'll hear them. Usually a sure sign you have a mountain lion following you is you'll hear behind you, you know, the twigs breaking, or, you know, a random leaf ruffling or something like that. And I've actually watched mountain lion videos where, as a matter of fact, you can watch a lot of the lion attack videos, like over in Africa. So if a mountain lion is running towards you, a warning shot does no good. I've never seen a mountain lion or a lion turn away from a warning shot. If it's making a beeline for you, I would say at that point, shoot the mountain lion. And a mountain lion is a thin-skinned animal. It's not like a bear. I've actually seen people shoot and kill mountain lions with the .22. So. And then for packs of dogs, if you have a pack of dogs after you, normally one warning shot off to the side, as long as you're pointing in a safe direction, like the base of a tree, or like into some, like a dirt, like a, you know, if you had like a hill with a dirt that was close, you could actually shoot over there. One shot, all those dogs will scatter. You won't have to worry about actually shooting one of them. So I actually had to shoot once with a pack of wild dogs. Shot once off to the side. So you have to really know your predators as far as what's coming after you. So this is an interesting kind of a setup over here. Kind of have a, this is interesting here. You have a hill that goes down and then comes up, it's like a little valley. I've never actually been over here. When I kind of head back here so I don't get turned around. It's kind of easy once you have a little valley you can follow. You don't get too turned around. But yeah, that's for the predators. The other thing they have up here, they're starting to make a comeback, is the wolves. The wolves are the apex predator. And yeah, a wolf can take everything. It can actually take a grizzly bear, a pack of wolves. So usually, I've actually seen one lone wolf up here, but if you get them in packs, I was actually watching some of the hunting strategy of wolves on some of these YouTube channels. Apparently, they have like multiple different hunting strategies where they can, depending on the situation, the terrain, the animal, they'll actually have different hunting strategies. And they'll, you know, one strategy that the wolves have is they all run and jump on you all at once. That's kind of the worst strategy. You definitely don't want to get into that situation. And wolves can be big too. The other thing about wolves is a lot of them now are protected. So, you know, if you have an aggressive wolf coming at you, and they have like a lot of them have the tracking collars. So it's, you know, against federal law to actually shoot them unless it's chewing on your leg. If it's a true self-defense situation, you'd probably be justified, but you'd have to probably lose some blood before you were justified to shoot something like that. But once the wolves get established, you know, they used to put a bounty on wolves because they would kill everything, and the government would pay you per wolf to kill them. But apparently people have forgotten about that. They want to bring back the poor wolves before they go extinct. So we'll see where that goes, which is pretty crazy. And if you actually really want to get a good night's sleep, let your campfire go out, what I would actually recommend is they actually have these portable solar electric fences. Those are very effective. You can put that around your tent and around your campground. That'll even keep the bears out. It'll keep everything out. And that's what I use around my cows and my chickens. I use an electric fence, 2 strings of electric fence. I use 6-foot tall chain link backed up against some really heavy duty horse panel, so nothing can really get in there. And then for the birds, the chickens and the ducks, I actually put netting over the top because the hawks were wiping me out. It's hard to keep anything alive up here because there's so many predators. And kind of the funny thing is you'll actually look out in the woods and you won't see anything and you won't hear anything, but you can go to like Kentucky Fried Chicken, get one of those baskets of chicken. You can take a chicken leg, throw it out in the forest, walk around, come back 5 minutes later, and it's gone. It's just, I don't know where the predators are that eat the stuff like that out here. But they're out here, and they're watching you, and they're super quiet. And that's their skill, is they hunt and kill all day long. They are expert at camouflage and stalking, and their life depends on it. I remember one time I had an explosion of those little chipmunks. They were eating all my chicken food. And I probably had like 100 of them running around there. It was just like a plague of chipmunks. Oh, it was unbelievable. And one year I thought, all right, so I'm gonna trap some of these chipmunks. And I had this little trap that would pinch them. It was like kind of like a groundhog trap, and it would pinch them and kill them at the same time. And I bought 3 of them, and I went out and I baited 3 traps, and I'd come out to those traps a couple hours later, and there was nothing left in the trap but a chipmunk tail. As soon as I caught them, something was eating them. As soon as I caught them, and I never did find out what it was. And it's amazing, because you come out here and you think there's nothing around and nothing's really looking at you. But yeah, the forest is full of predators. And they're all looking for a free meal. So you kind of have to be careful. I still don't know what it was that ate all those chipmunks. I must have eaten probably 40 chipmunks before I finally got the problem under control. But it's kind of weird. I've actually had a mouse problem when I moved up here too. It was like right outside of my house. There was, all the leaf litter and everything on the ground. And there were so many mice when I moved up here. They were like scurrying under all the leaf litter. Oh, and they were getting in my car, in my engine compartment. They were even getting in the headliner of my car, where I could hear them scurrying above my head, inside of my car, right above the cloth top, inside the car. Oh, it was awful. And you'll have little explosions of certain animals like that. And then a certain predator will just come around and kill them all. It's weird. I had a thing in my barn where I had a whole bunch of rabbits, baby rabbit. The whole barn was full of baby rabbits. I don't know what it was, but one day I went in there and they were just all dead and just shredded all over the place, like a weasel or something got in there and killed them all. So yeah, it's kind of crazy up here. And if you have a dog and the dog gets loose, I'd say, especially if he's lost for like 2 or 3 days out here in the wilderness, I'd say, you see a lot of lost dog signs. I would highly doubt that they would actually survive up here more than 1 or 2 nights. But unfortunately, especially a small dog. I used to put a game cam out, and man, at night everything comes to life. In the daytime, everything's sleeping. I've seen bears, mountain lions, foxes every single night. It's kind of crazy. And most people, they just come up and they're completely oblivious to what's out there and what's stalking them, what's behind them. But I'd say usually in the daytime, they're pretty safe. So I'd definitely bring something with you, at least a walking stick. And out here, there's so many sticks on the ground, you could probably just pick one up and use it to kind of fight off a wild dog if you had a dog after you. But yeah, the things that freak me out the most are the mountain lions, because we have some huge mountain lions. I caught some on video that were so big, the body was so big, it made the head look so small. It was unbelievable. It must have been a 300-pound mountain lion. I didn't even know they got that big. And it was right up next to my chickens. So I actually had the Division of Wildlife come out when I had the mountain lion eat all my chickens. And that was kind of interesting. He was actually surprised that my animals were still alive with the setup that I had. And he recommended the electric fence, and that was huge around all my chickens. That's been pretty much saving me. I used to see bears and mountain lions right in with the chickens and with the cows. And it's funny though, because they came up and they said I could actually kill the mountain lion. They gave me rubber bullets too that I could shoot. They said without a license I could shoot and kill the mountain lion, which I didn't really think was ethical. You know, we eat chickens, so why not the mountain lion? It's not his fault. There are chickens like in the open that are sitting ducks for the mountain lion. So I never did kill it. And he said the mountain lions will actually go in a 200-mile radius where they'll kind of go around every so often and have like a certain territory. They're very territorial. So he said if I killed the mountain lion, another one would just come in and take its spot. So yeah, the mountain lions, you really have to watch for them. Normally you won't see them, but you'll actually, sometimes you'll hear them, a lot of times you won't hear them. The only time I've ever been stalked by a mountain lion and knew it for sure is when I was at a hiking area and I was out hiking, and the mountain lion, the mountain lion actually was stalking me. I knew something was stalking me kind of in the background. You can kind of hear it behind me. And every now and then you'll hear like a stick break or kind of leaves ruffling. And the only time I saw it is when I got in my vehicle and then I drove down the road and I flushed him out. And it was a huge mountain lion that was stalking me. And the problem then was I was mushroom hunting. So, you know, every now and then I'd stop and I'd bend down. I'd be like a sitting duck trying to pick a mushroom. I was all by myself. So that's another thing is, if you're on the ground a lot of times. Looks like we got some pine pitch here. I'm usually a diehard for pine pitch, but I think I already got this tree. It's mostly cleaned out on that one. So usually try to collect all the pine pitch that I can. So that's pretty much it for predators up here. So I'd say most of the times you don't really have to worry about them, but I would definitely carry something. I would probably carry at least a walking stick, bear spray, or like one of those, I'd say probably one of those shocking batons, like a stun gun baton kind of a thing. Those seem to be really effective. I don't know, even if you had a mountain lion on your back, you might be able to pull it out and reach up and shock them. That might be an option. Carry it somewhere where you can have easy access and then just practice. But I might hang out here and see if I can find some more pine pitch. Here's a nice little bunch of it here for a pine pitch movie video that I wanted to do. Show you the different uses of pine pitch. But a couple of good trees right here for it. All right, so that's pretty much it. If you go out in the woods, I would say be aware of predators. Some people completely stay out of the woods because they're terrified of predators. But, you know, it depends. I don't know if you had small kids. I don't know if I'd bring them out here without really watching them real close. So just me alone, a little bit more dangerous. I've actually seen people walking, 2 people side by side out here, some big people like 6 feet tall, and they still got jumped by a mountain lion. So sometimes, you know, I'd say being alone is a little bit more risky, but even if you're in a group, you can still have problems with it. But yeah, every few minutes, I'd stop and look around so you're not walking up on anything like a herd of elk or a bear or something like that. So usually I would say you probably won't walk up, you won't see a mountain lion if you just look out. You might see a bear and cubs. I would definitely steer clear of a bear, or especially if it has cubs. Or if you see a small bear and mama bear is close by, I would not approach that thing. I would definitely stay away. Maybe walk way around that one. So you kind of have to have, you know, situational awareness. I'd say that's your number 1 defense against predators. Number 2, probably your hearing. You could probably hear them most of the times before you'll see them. And then number 3, just make sure you have a scan of the area every now and then, so you don't get surprised by walking up on something or something walking up on you. But that's pretty much it. If you're out and about in the mountains of Colorado, I know it really depends on where you're at too. If you're in grizzly country, it's completely different. If you're down south, you might have like alligators and, you know, snakes biting at you. There's absolutely no snakes. I've been walking around up here for 20 years. I've never seen a snake, which is weird. You go down in the mountains in the foothills, you'll actually see some snakes. You'll see some rattlesnakes down there, but never seen a snake. I think our summers are just too short up here for any snakes. So that's pretty much it for my predator stories. If you're out and about, just be careful. So yeah, that's about all you can do for predators up here in the mountains. Just be aware of what's in your area. And I would do some research for sure. Make sure you talk to some people, maybe some people that have, maybe some bushcrafters. I've actually gone on YouTube and I see a lot of, you know, people that are like professional bushcrafters. And they're doing some crazy stuff. You know, everybody's zipped up in their sleeping bags, sleeping out in the open, you know, right after they cook their food. Like completely oblivious to what's going on. And I've actually seen some guys on YouTube where they'll say, oh, you don't have to worry about predators. You know, the chance of getting eaten by a predator is like about as risky as getting struck by lightning. But keep in mind, most people, they're not walking around the woods. It's like walking around in a rainstorm with lightning all around you. Yeah, the odds of getting struck by lightning aren't very good unless you're walking around in a lightning storm. And that's kind of what you're doing out here. So I'll definitely be careful. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.